Hi, everyone. Well, it would be a dramatic understatement to say that I'm excited about tonight. And I'm really happy to see you. Welcome to Leo Astrology. And thank you. You know, what's really funny is we have 4 months left of this, and then this program is finished, which is really crazy. So I will have taken you through a whole year of astrology. Have most of you online seen the previous months? I hope so. Have most of you in the room seen previous months? It's helpful because you have friends who are other signs. I know if you're a Leo, that's hard to even imagine hanging out with anyone else, but you do. And every month, if you're new to this, and some of you in the room are new and some of you online are new, if you're new to this, I talk about the other signs too. So you might go back and watch. It's all free, but you might go back and watch the previous months, because even if you're not a Taurus, you know, there's something in Taurus for Leo, for example. We're actually sister signs. And Taurus women and Leo women get along famously because as long as we're well evolved, because we both think we're the queen. And so we can be queens together. There can be a little bit of a locking of horns, but in general, if we're well evolved and we're nice grown-up adults, we can get along really, really well. But anyway, every month I talk about all of the signs, because I talk about the intersection. Like, I don't know, who should a Leo date? Whatever lucky person comes their way is the answer to that. Okay, so welcome. I have a room full of people who are here with me live, and then, of course, all of you online, and I'm so thankful that you're here. I am a Leo, so I'm going to come out of the astrological closet and tell you that because I have a little bit of a bias tonight. I was going to do a little skit because there's something of an actress in all of us Leos. I was going to do a little skit where I was going to start out this evening with a mirror and just be like, and then say, oh, hi, someone else is here other than me. Because that's kind of how Leo life is. Like, oh, there's other people. I had no idea. It's not just the me show. But we're going to talk about all the light side of Leo, all the light aspects, and we're going to talk about the shadow too. There's a lot of shadow in Leo. I would argue, and those of you who are Leos, I'd love your perspective. I would argue that Leo's shadow is a little deeper than other signs, because with all of the breadth of Leo's a big sign. We take up a lot of space in the room. Do you know what I mean? Like when we're in the room, you kind of know it. It's even when a Leo, and here's the thing, even when a Leo doesn't look good, hasn't put on the makeup, if you're a man, like hasn't done the hair and all the things and the clothes, it almost doesn't matter. We take up a lot of space, energetic space, Leos do. But because there's that breadth of energy, and we're like the big inhale in the room, when that energy goes to a darker place, it goes really deep and really dark and really heavy. And Leos, I'm going to tell you something new. I made up a term for tonight. It's a phenomenon that everybody talks about with Leo, but I've given it a name. So Leos go through what I call a shadow cycle. And this may or may not make sense to you if you're a Leo. For me, it's been the kind of the pattern of my life. But we go through a shadow cycle where we fall apart and then recreate. Almost like the phoenix, which is a really apt metaphor for us because we're a fire sign, we're a fixed fire sign. And phoenix is the bird. You know the legend of the phoenix? Yeah, rising out of the fire. So that's what we do. Every 7 or 8 years, we completely burn up and recreate. And so Leos, if you think about Madonna, what have people always said about Madonna? Like, what is Madonna famous for doing? She recreates herself. But entirely, right? Where you're like, where did that come from? Now we're on the, whatever ride with Madonna. And it's always interesting, and you're intrigued, because Leos have big charisma. So you're intrigued, and you go for the ride. But I'm telling you, I do know people who know Madonna, so I can verify that this is actually how her real life is and not just the story in the tabloids. She has gone through these periods where she has gone like deeply undercover and almost hidden, even from family, and gone through these periods of where she recreates herself and reinvents herself. And it's not easy for family and friends to go on that ride with Leos. Anybody in the room understand what I'm saying about Leos? Okay. It's not easy. And so Leos need what I would like to call a special kind of partner. Special partner. Who's so into us and so into the ride that they're willing to deal with the dramatic the periods, the cycles of shadow that we go through. It's just sort of a fact of life with us, indeed. Okay. So I'm excited to tell you about that. So I was going to do a lot of jokes like, ha ha, get ready. Then the big joke I was going to do was, so anyway, we're awesome, and I don't want to talk anymore, so now I'm going to drum for you for an hour. That was actually one of my plans. Like, anyway, it's all true, we're amazing, there's nothing else to say, and now I will drum. But the reality is there's a lot more to us than we like to let on. So get ready for tonight. I hope you're excited. I'm going to share a lot with you. We're going to do a brief fire meditation, a little bit of a phoenix meditation. So if you have stones that you're working with and you want to really get into it with your stones and your medicine, as always, I'm working with the astrological tools, so I'm going to light my Leo candle. I have loved this month's set. Mine is already used because I have been working with it. And it's funny because Leo, a lot of people follow my product line and my perfumes in particular, and they've noticed I made 2 Leo perfumes, not 1. So there was the original Leo, which was like pinon and pine and resin and really deep and really heavy. And then there's this new Leo, which has orange blossom in it and patchouli, because those are all my favorite things, but they didn't mix well into one, so I made 2. So people say, well, you're going to make 2 for all of the signs, and absolutely not. No, because Leos are more special than all of the other people. I'm going to talk about relationships tonight, so get excited for that. If you're in a relationship with a Leo and you're not a Leo, wow. We are a lot to handle. I'm married to a Virgo. I've been with him for 15 years. And the reason I've been with him for 15 years is that he's a Virgo. Which is to say, Leos tend not to last forever in their relationships. They're very loyal, but they burn through their relationships. It's really tricky. So if you find a Leo who's in a long-term relationship, it's most likely because they have found their earth sign, or they found their fire sign, or their air sign that lets everything go. Because air signs are like, let's just go with the flow. And earth signs are like, you go ahead and burn, I'm going to sit still. And water signs are like, psst, fire goes out, right? Which can keep the Leo under control. Doesn't make Leos super happy, but it keeps them a little bit under control. Yeah, so I'm getting a lot of feedback online. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. It's true. Okay, I'm going to ask Mary, could you check the temperature in here again? It's like 1,000 degrees. I'm so sorry, but we've had like a heat wave here in LA, and I know it's a fire session tonight, but I shouldn't have an internal fire happening. It's kind of uncomfortable. So you ready? And then I will be checking the feed for questions and the room for questions too. So at any point, feel free to stop me if there's anything that, I say that doesn't make sense, or if you have additional questions. I love questions because they take it deeper. I'm going to talk about what it's like to raise a Leo child tonight, because people are really interested in that. If you haven't had children yet, and you play your cards right, and you have a lot of fun with your partner in November, you too could be a parent of a Leo child. If you don't want to have the kind of hot mess that I'm talking about tonight, abstain in November, and you will find that you tend not to produce Leo children. I'm half joking, and I'm half not joking with that. There's a little bit of a technicality involved in the fact that if you have fun in November, most likely come August, something's going to happen for you. And what's funny is my husband, his mom was due earlier, so he was supposed to be a Leo. So the big running joke in my family is how sorry I am for him that he was delayed. And he's very sorry for me that I came right on time. Okay, so let's talk about Leos. I'm going to talk about the light and the shadow side, as I always do, because with every sign, and this is true of no matter which sign you are in the zodiac, there are the lighter aspects. And by lighter, I mean just the more buoyant aspects. When signs are well evolved, they bring out all of the good things, the good traits of whatever they are. Does anybody want to name a good trait in the room of Leo? What's a good trait?
Loyal. They have a big heart.
They have a big heart, and what was the other one?
Loyal.
They're loyal. They do. They're big-hearted and they're loyal. It's very true. And Leos are so loyal that if the relationship is working well and their ego is being fed, and wait till I get to the ego part because I have a lot to say about that tonight. If their ego is being fed, they will stay despite really radical circumstances that may not serve them. So that's actually one of the faults of Leo, is believe it or not, Leos, with all of their like charisma and all of those things, it's not uncommon to find a Leo in an abusive relationship. I have a lot of clients who are Leos, and they're stuck in abusive relationships, and they're there because they're loyal, and some part of that relationship is still serving them. So that's sort of the light and the shadow aspect of that. Leos are very confident. We are very confident. I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak from my own experience tonight because I'm living this. I'm a double fire sign, so I'll come out as that too. So I'm Leo Sun and Sagittarius Moon with a Libra rising. So I'm all fire, but I want you to be happy because that's what Libra rising is about. Are you happy? How do you feel? What do you need? How can I make you happier? Are you happy right now? Can I make you happier right now? Is everything fair? That's the Libra rising. Okay, so Leos are very, very confident, and it's true. I mean, I'm a very confident person. The shadow aspect of that confidence is that we're also extremely insecure. Yeah, Leo's insecurity. And Leos have something that's called the fraud complex. You know what I'm talking about? Where we're always afraid that people are going to find out that we're not as good as we have professed to be. Like, ooh, what if they find out that I'm not as amazing as I have told everyone that I am? And that's a real challenge for Leo. The good news is nobody thinks you're as good as you think you are. Leo. So you don't have to worry about the fraud complex because it's not going to happen. Everybody has been listening to you talk about how good you are. They don't believe it. There's a little bit of evidence. It's not overwhelming, and they've been tolerating you, but they're not going to find out that you're not that great. So if that puts some fears to rest. Here's the best thing about Leos. They're resilient. I mean, Leos can go through the fire. I say that as fire engines are like, going behind me in the room. Leos can go through anything and they bounce back. They are the cat. What's our totem animal? The lion. Can I just tell you, I don't know how you feel as fellow Leos, but when I go to the zoo and I see lions, like I freak out for a minute. I totally freak out for a minute. And one of the things, if you want to know how to work with a Leo and you don't know, like let's say you join a company and you're going to be working for a Leo, or let's say you join any organization and be working with Leos, or you've begun a relationship with a partner and that partner is a Leo. If you want to know how it rolls, watch lions. And if you can't have access anywhere else, watch them in the zoo. Lions don't get up for anything. Like they just don't. They're just laying there. They're in the sun. They might like stretch and kind of roll around, and they'll flip their tail a little bit and then they go back to sleep, right? They don't get up for anything. You make a lion mad, what happens? So it takes them 20 minutes to stand up. Okay? Big paw, boom. Big paw, boom. Okay? And now you're in for it because they've stood up. Okay, and lion is going to take the opportunity because they've been awakened. They've actually gotten up on those big paws. If they're hunting, this is the other thing that happens. If they're hunting, it's the same thing. If the lion has actually taken the full 20 minutes to put those big paws down and put that big tail up, something's going to happen. It won't last long, but some shit's going to go down. If you've gotten a lion to the point where they've actually had to put the big paws and come towards you for something, there's going to be a roar. And that's the one thing to watch out with Leos. We do have tempers. And when we get mad, it's really bad. But it lasts for like 10 minutes. And then we go back and we lay in the sun. And we don't look at you anymore. So the temper roars for a few minutes and then it subsides and then we forget about it. The challenge is that you don't forget about it. Like everybody on the receiving end, being on the receiving end of that roar, that you can hear throughout the entire savanna of Africa, that roar, you're not going to forget that for a long time. So Leos can really hurt people. The nice thing is it takes so long and so much for us to actually get up on those paws that 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get a reaction out of us. And usually, I'm going to say this, usually if you do get the reaction, you probably deserved it. If I get hella mad at someone, this is my San Francisco Bay Area accent coming out. If I get hella mad at you, you probably deserve it. And I'm probably not going to feel that bad about it. I'll have my tail up for a little while going, yeah, I did just do that. Yes, I did. When you hurt us, This is the other thing I want to talk about tonight. And we'll go more into this. Leo is the one sign next to Cancer. I've got a Cancer sitting over to my left side, so I'm aware of her right now. Leo is the one sign next to Cancer where if you hurt us, we don't ever forget. We don't ever forget. We will forgive you. We will not forget what you did. And we carry it around. And what do we do? What do Leos do when we're hurt? What do you do, Leo, when you're hurt? Huh? No, actually we don't. We have the opposite reaction.
Parties, right?
Huh?
You guys, I have a Leo friend, she always parties.
Not traditionally, though. Not traditionally. What do we do? It's the opposite of what you'd expect when we're really hurt, huh? We leave you. We withdraw. But we're not going to let you see that. If you wound us, we will look at you and smile and say, thank you very much, have a good day. And we will immediately exit right to a quiet room and cry like we are 2 years old. But then we'll come out, but before we come out, we're going to fix the makeup and be like, oh no, I'm fine. Because Leos are not going to show you. But again, that's the lion. If you injure a lion, what do? They go back. They go back. You will not see an injured lion. They will retreat and die. But they will not let you see them injured. And actually, it's really sad. If you look at, I've watched a lot of lion videos. I'm really into the animals. And if you watch what happens when a lion is wounded, unless they cannot walk, they will remove themselves from the scene. Unless they literally, all their legs are broken or wounded. They will remove themselves. They will hobble away a mile away to go and do this and hide. And then come back when they're healed. So we have a lot of pride. We have a lot of pride, the lions. So if you're in a relationship with a Leo and you think, you know what? And you're patting yourself on the back and you're saying, I've never heard a Leo before. I've never seen it. I have no evidence that I've ever heard a Leo. Let me just tell you, you probably heard that Leo a lot of times and you don't know. Because if you really heard us, you won't know about it. Yeah? Okay, so that's all of the good stuff. Leos are very confident, they're bold, they're resilient. They're also fearful, and they are insecure, and they don't have a lot of stamina. Does this make sense? So this is kind of the shadow side. We can do all the things. Leos do all the things. Have you noticed this? All the things. All the things. So if you give a Leo 4 things to do in a day, like, hey, I want you to do this, and after you're done with that, I want you to do this, I want you to water the plants, I want you to make a list of this, I want you to go here, then I want you to pick this up and bring it back. Leos will do all of that by noon, and then they'll have to sleep from like 1 to 5. So you'll be so excited because you'll see the Leo running around like, oh my God, they're doing all the things. Like all the things are getting done right now. And then all of a sudden you're like, where did she go? And we're off somewhere sleeping because we have a lot of energy, like quickly, we have all of the energy, but then we need to go and rest and get our reserves back. And for however charismatic we are, and Leos tend to have charisma, we are the only sign in the zodiac that has almost across the board, no matter who you're talking about as a Leo, they have some charisma. Something about them says, pay attention to me. Now, I'm looking at the Leos in the room, and we all have crazy hair. And by crazy, I mean awesome. But we have good hair. Leos have good hair. Do you know why? What does a lion have? Lion has a mane. We all have a mane. Don't say bad things about it to our face. You can say all you want behind our back, but to our face, you should say, oh, that's awesome. I love your hair. Because to Leos, that's like saying I love you. When you tell a Leo that you love their hair, it's like saying I love you and you did a good job. We sit back and go, really? Oh, I love you. Thank you for that. Yeah. We are cats. We are cats. And so we like our time alone. We like to lick our paws. We like to, do interesting things with our hair. And we're very picky about who we're friends with, which cats are too. If a cat loves you, isn't that special? Like, cats don't have to love you, and they remind you of that all the time. Like, I don't have to love you. I choose today to love you. I might not love you tomorrow, but in this moment right now, I love you. That's how cats are. It's very much how Leos are too. And somebody said online, yep, my hair is all over teal. Not surprised about that. And someone else is sitting there brushing her hair. I love that. I was going to do that too. I was going to start the broadcast by just brushing my hair. Just being like, oh, hair. But that's the one side of Leo. The other side of Leo is that besides the vanity, because we are a little vain. We're mostly vain because we're insecure, and it covers up a lot of the stuff inside. Okay, so let's talk about ego for just a moment. And then I want to talk to you about the stones that we work with for Leos. Leos are really into gemstones. I don't know why, but of all the signs, Leos tend to be the ones. We like having the things, and we like sparkly things. We like gold. We like things that are pretty. We tend to not be able to say no to pretty things. So we tend to have shopping issues. Shoppers Anonymous. We like the things. Leos tend to have a lot of jewelry, but we want all the jewelry all the time. But I want to talk about ego for just a minute. So people in spiritual circles, and this drives me a little bit crazy, people in spiritual circles talk about ego like it's a terrible thing. I don't think ego is a terrible thing, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Leo, and it's the most ego-driven sign of the zodiac. I don't think ego is a terrible thing. I think ego is what makes you human. Do you know what I mean? I mean, ego is the feeling of power and the feeling of confidence and the feeling of possibility. All those things are ego. So ego is a very important thing. Did anybody study Freud when you were in college? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. So Freud had this structure of the psyche, this way of thinking about it. He called it the apparatus, where there were three parts to the ego. So there was the id, the ego, and the superego. Am I taking you back to like Psych 101 in college? Okay. Are you tuning out? Don't tune out. I'll make it more interesting for you. If your psych professor had taught it the way I do, you'd remember it to this day. So the id is kind of like the instinct, right? I always thought id, instinct, so the eyes. And the id is all of your, like, the things you want to do and the impulses. All the I words are the id. And it's kind of unchecked. So the id is the part of you that just responds to everything that you want to do in the world. The superego, I like to say, is like my husband, like the Virgos in the world, where it's like, no, there's rules, you can't do that, there's laws, don't break the laws, all the no. It is yes, do everything. Superego is no, don't do anything, it's all bad. And then the ego is this thing in the middle that says, well, I understand that you want to do that, but we should also take into consideration that there are rules, and the ego becomes this check mechanism in the middle. So from that perspective, I don't see ego as a bad thing. Does that make sense? I actually see ego from a Freudian perspective as this balance between our instinctual brain, which says, hey, if it feels good, I should do that and do that all the time, and our superego, which says, if it feels good, it's probably against the law. Okay?
What's that mean?
Well, and I like to bring, like, it's funny because I used to be a professor, and I like to bring this kind of scholarly stuff to this world of metaphysics because they're not unrelated. Do you know what I mean? Like, these concepts, when you bring them to bear in a context like astrology, makes so much more sense. Because if we just say, oh, the ego's a bad thing, well, what is the ego? The ego is the check between everything I want to do, my impulses, and everything that I think, says no. Everything that I think needs to control who I am and what I do. And so I'm sharing this with you because, in particular, with regard to Leo struggles at that point of ego. Because Leo has impulse nonstop all day long. It's all impulse. It's all the feelings. It's all the desires. We Leos are passion embodied. We have so much passion. I'm passionate about my job. I'm passionate about my kids. I'm passionate about my relationship. I'm passionate about the dress I have on right now. I'm passionate about this cup. We bring all of the passion to everything, and we have to find a way to say, well, how do I put that in a structure? I can't be passionate about everything all the time. I'm going to burn out. So how do I check some of that, and how do I find some middle ground, which will help me with my stamina? Because all the passion all the time burns you out. You end up just kind of like, you overextend yourself. So Leos, we spend our whole life doing this dance between all of the impulses and all of the yes and all of the no. Does that make sense? Yeah? So if you know a Leo who hasn't been arrested, raise your hand. I'm sort of kidding. I have not been arrested. I have come as close though as you can come without actually being arrested. Like, I've been at the party and then somebody else got arrested. That's how close I've come to that. But it's true. Leos, we like to play with the with the border. You know what I mean? Like, how close can I get without falling over the cliff? It's a dangerous game. And so, but we like that. I mean, that edge is where we want to play, and we scare people because of that. Because if we're honest about it, we like that edge. We're always looking for that edge. People are commenting, I've been in handcuffs, not yet, but very close, not arrested. It was a dramatic metaphor, but it is all to say that I have been at those parties that went over the edge and where there were real consequences. And as I've grown older and a little more balanced in my enjoyment of things that can bring problems, I have learned how to walk that edge in a safe way. I am going to say, as a Leo parent, here's the thing. Leos, if they haven't done it themselves, they know someone who has, and they were probably there. Okay? So what I will be telling my children, no doubt, is, hey, whatever you want to do, whatever you're about to do, I already did it, or I know someone who did and I was there. So don't try it, and don't tell me lies. Be honest with me about what you're going to do so I can help you. That's my parenting plan when my kids are older. Like, listen, I played that game, or I know someone who did, and let's not do that. So Leo parents, because we have teetered on that edge before, we have a lot of lived experience from which to parent, which I think makes us very effective. Yeah, well, and Kim says, better to ask forgiveness than permission. That's kind of a Leo mantra. We're like, hey, I'll just say I'm sorry because I want to do it. And that's that id being checked by the superego of like, oh, hey, I shouldn't do that. I'm a grown person. I'm a parent, all the superego stuff. Yeah, is this making sense to everybody? This is the way I think about it, because as a Leo for a long time before I understood that dance, this made me crazy. I was like, why do I have all these impulses? And like, how do I get this stuff in check? And in my 20s, it was a little bit crazy. In my 30s, I was becoming a parent, so I was getting a little bit more like automatically responsible. Now in my 40s, I'm like starting to feel a little bit older and wiser. And looking back and thinking, I found the balance, but now I'm going to have to figure out how to do that with my children. So that's a Leo parent. Let me tell you something about Leo mothers. Anybody a Leo mother in the room? Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Do I have Leo mothers in the classroom? Yeah, you're a Leo mom?
I have a Leo mom.
You have a Leo mom.
I have a Leo mom.
Yes. If you have one, or you had one, or you are one, you can just close your ears because you know what I'm about to say. Don't mess with our kids. This is where it goes down. Have you ever seen a lioness with her cubs?
Oh, yeah.
They are behind her, and you're going to have to go through her to get them. And my kids are small, but I already had one kid kind of mess with one of my kids, and I was like, listen to me right now. And what I have done proactively, I'm very involved at my kids' school. Like I'm vice president of the PTA, and I'm like the room mom and all the things. It may look crazy that the woman with purple hair does all those things, but I do, because I'm very involved in my kids' lives. I'm a Leo, and we're always involved in our kids' lives, probably over-involved. So what I have done proactively is I've made sure I know every one of those kids by name, and they know me too. And so if anything happens, it'll be like, oh, hi, so-and-so and their mom. This happened today. This isn't going to happen again, because that's my cub. Yeah. So Leo moms are very protective. Leo dads are too, but it's the lioness, right? It's the lioness who protects the cubs, not as much the lion. The lion protects his lioness. And this is what's amazing about Leo men. Do I have Leo? Is there any Leo man in the room? And do I have Leo man online? This is going to sound funny to you, I used to dream that I would find a Leo man. And then I did, and that lasted like a month. Because one of us wasn't going to make it out alive. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't going to make it out. Okay, so do I have Leo man online at all? Anybody with a Leo man? Okay, so you know a little bit about, yeah. Leo men are a special kind of magic. They're very powerful. They are the king. And I'm, when I was in that relationship with that Leo man, he enjoyed me because I was constantly telling him, "You are so handsome. You are so talented." No, you. You're so smart. Say more about that. I just need to hear. Again, I just want to hear your voice. I'm gonna close my eyes and just let you talk to me right now. And if you can let them be the king of the castle, Leo men are with you on that ride. And they're good too with Leo women because they understand it. So they'll say, no, you. I just need to hear you talk. No, let's just. And you can take all that admiration and that passion into the bedroom, and it's really fiery. I will say that. There's probably kids watching, but we have to talk about sex because we usually do. So kids can just close your eyes or your ears for a minute. Leos are really good in bed. The men and the women are really good in bed because we have passion, we have the fire, and we carry it through to that platform. And Leo men are really, really good. The challenge with Leo men is sometimes they don't know how to, just like what we're talking about with the id and the superego and the ego, sometimes they don't know how to check all of that. And it can be really difficult. And they're also Leo men, just as much as Leo women. We have this fear that we're too much. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Too much. Like we're too loud, we're too big, we're too, whatever it is for you. What are you too much of, people in the room?
Everything.
Too much everything? What about you guys online? Too much what? What are you too much? Nick says I'm tired. You can be too tired. That's not common for a Leo. Huh?
Someone said bossy.
Bossy, yeah. I mean, too bossy, too loud, too big, too fun, too this, all the things, all the time. Yeah, that's very much us. Too emotional. Too much of the roller coaster, right? Because we're constantly on that ride of like, the ups and the downs and the fear and the anxiety and all of the things that we go through. Too dramatic. Well, listen. The best thing about being with a Leo is, look, you are never going to be bored. Let me just tell you that right now. Like, we are on the fun ride. You are never going to be bored until you get off the ride, whatever that looks like. We are very dramatic. The interesting thing about Leos, and this is true of men and women, it's almost like a challenge to figure out, can you make it enough for us? And I always joke with dessert. I've never had a dessert that was too sweet. I want all of it. I want all of the chocolate, all of the things. People say, oh, that's so rich, I can barely eat it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I just finished that and I'm ordering a second one. I'm always on this quest to find my limit, right? And so it's always this thing with Leos, can you make it enough for us? Because we can digest and take. It's like a well that you can't fill. And this, I think, is where my partner and probably some of you who are with Leos would say this is kind of the challenge, because it becomes a well you can't fill. I have accomplished a lot in my life. I'm going to use myself as an example. I have a PhD. I have 2 kids. I own a really successful company. I have the things, all the accomplishments, and I'm not satisfied. And it's not that I want more of anything. I want to keep figuring out what else could I do. I don't know, could I go be a nurse? I mean, and it's random. Can you just be happy with where you are? But I have these things of I'm going to go try to find something else that I can be and something else that I can do. Where a lot of people would be like, oh, good, now I'm in my 40s, I can relax. I've done whatever it is. I have, a business, or I have a job that I love, and now I can relax into it. I'm thinking I want to maybe I'll be a veterinarian. I have these weird fantasies, and Leos have that, where we get so bored and we get so tired of the routines that we're in that we start fantasizing about the next thing or the next, and that's what leads us out of relationships, I would say. I don't know what your experience has been, but at a certain point we're like, I need new chocolate. I've had this chocolate for a while. It's good chocolate, but I'd like to know what other kind of chocolate is out there too. Okay. So there's all that. Do you guys have any questions before I keep going?
About Leo moon.
Leo moon. So let me talk to you about Leo moon and Leo rising. My daughter is a Leo moon, so I'm living this with her. Do you know what Leo moon people are? Does anybody have a Leo moon? Now, you will check me on this if I'm wrong, okay? Because I'm open to being wrong. This has been my experience with Leo moons. Leo moons are the musicians. I have yet to meet a Leo moon who doesn't have some desire to entertain. Is that true for you? Okay. And let me tell you about Leo moons. And I'm talking about hundreds of people now in my little test experiment. Leo moon people are the ones who say, oh, that's interesting, and they look at a trumpet and they pick it up and they play it. It's like, how did you just do that? And you've never seen a trumpet before. Or my daughter, who's very young, she'll sit in the car and listen to a song one time, and it's memorized. And so the next time the song comes on the radio, she's singing along like she wrote the song. And I'm thinking, I know for a fact she's only heard that one time. So they are very much, to Kathleen's point, they are intuitive musicians. And so they internalize the music, and that's how that Leo shows up. So they're the entertainers. Here's the thing with Leo Moon. Give them a stage, because if you don't, they're going to find one somewhere else. Yeah, okay. So in a relationship, you can imagine how that plays out, right? Like they want to put on a show. If they can put on a show for you, they're going to put on a show for someone else. And pretty quickly, too. Leo Moons are always like, hey, is this going to work for me? Great, I'm moving on, kind of thing. They're loyal, but they're a little more flighty than Leo Sun. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Leo Rising. Anybody a Leo Rising? Leo Rising. I'm a little jealous because the rising signs, and this is true for me too as a Libra rising, because I'm such a people pleaser, and it's genuine. I really want people to be happy all the time. Like if I could just sit here and sit with you and say, how can I make you happy? And you would tell me and I could just make you happy all the time, like my whole life would be fulfilled. I don't have the shadow stuff of Libra because the rising people only get the light aspects of a sign. So Leo rising people are all the things I want to be as a Leo, but I'm not because I'm the real thing. Does that make sense? Leo rising? Okay, so you are optimistic and generous and kind and all the things, but you don't have the undertones of the insecurity, the fear, the ups and downs, the drama, the unchecked ego that can look like you're a little bit of a dictator, my way or the highway kind of stuff, yeah. So if your man is Leo rising, that can be really fun because he has kind of the sexy, confident thing going on without all the brooding. Leo men brood just a little bit. You know what the thing with Leo men is? They are kings without a kingdom. That's kind of hard. Leo women too. I mean, we're queens without a queendom. But Leo men are, I think everyone I've met has been a little bit of a wounded healer in a sense. Like they're the kings that don't have a kingdom to rule. And so what they need is a partner who will kind of serve that role of queen. Does that make sense? They need the partner who's going to support them and create the feeling, the essence of a kingdom, but without it, if that makes sense. Okay. Any other questions? That was a really good question. Yeah.
What about Leos with other fire signs?
Okay. Every Leo thinks they should be with another fire sign. I actually agree with that because I think that Leos with other fire signs, that's fun. So let me tell you a little bit about other fire signs. Aries is going to fight with you and Sagittarius is going to cheat on you. Sorry to put too fine a point on it. Sagittarius has a really hard time and they really want to be monogamous. They even when they really want to be, it's almost like they can't. And we'll get to Sagittarius later in the year. So Sagittarius people have all kinds of wonderful qualities. And the well-evolved ones can be monogamous. But I'm telling you, it's in their astrological DNA not to be monogamous to you. So because they like to be outdoors, and my joke is always that they'd like to be outdoors of your relationship. so your relationship is a house, and they want to be in the backyard. Does that make sense to you? Everybody's like, yes! Calling you out, Sagittarius, right now. Very few people are sexier. Sag men. I'm telling you. Sag men and Scorpio men and Leo men. They are like sex on a stick. It's true. And Virgo men too. For whatever reason, I have had more Virgo partners in my life than any other sign. I draw them like honey. And I frustrate them like the day is long. Every single one I've ever attracted, they want to be with me forever, and I could not drive them crazier than I do. But it was really cute. As I was on the way into work yesterday, and I told my husband, I said, you are the funniest person I know. This is true, he really is. And I said, I honestly think you're the smartest person I know. And so I looked at him in true Leo form, and I said, what am I the est person of? And so in true, this is true story yesterday, okay? If he was here, he would tell you. It was kind of sad. So in true Virgo form, he qualifies it, and he's like, well, you're very beautiful. And I said, am I the beautifulest? And he said, you are. I think you're the most beautiful person I know. And I said, okay. And he goes, you have kind of the it factor. I don't know how to describe that, but you have kind of the it factor. Like you have charisma. And I was like, am I the ittiest person you know? And he said, you kind of are. And so, but Virgos are going to qualify everything because they think that you're going to I don't know, call them on it, or there's going to be a measurement and it's going to be wrong or something. So anyway, that was a very true story. But for whatever reason, earth signs are drawn to fire signs. And that is a recipe for disaster. Unless you find a way to make it work. Capricorns love Leos. I have a no Capricorn policy. I always had it. I'm sorry to say it, but I always had a policy, and my sister and I both joke about it. First thing ask when you start dating, hey, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Yeah, gosh, we have so much in common. Hey, are you born between December 21st and January 21st? Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Anyway, have a good night. Because Capricorn men, you have a no Virgo policy?
I need to know why.
With the Capricorns?
Yes, why?
Okay, Capricorns are too cold for Leos. Capricorns are all business. At the end of the day, if you're not helping them grow or mature professionally, they're not going to stay with you. And Leos are like, listen now. This is my world, kind of thing. Capricorns are like, no, you listen now. This is my world. And it's like, okay, well, how long can you do that before that's not interesting to you anymore, right? Now, in a well-evolved relationship, I could see a situation, because Leos love to support their partner. I mean, Leos, it makes me feel good when my partner is amazing in the world. So I'm always looking for ways like, hey, how can I support you? Or how can I make you feel confident or whatever? I'm always looking for ways to do that. So a well-evolved Capricorn would take advantage of that with a Leo woman and say, okay, well, she's interested in me and helping me grow and helping me develop. But Capricorns have this huge ego where it almost undermines their ego for it to come from someone else. Anyway, it's complicated. So there's a little bit of a no Capricorn policy there. Air signs are okay. Think about elemental correspondences, okay? So what does fire do to fire? Bigger fire. What does air do to fire? Goes everywhere, right? What does earth do to fire?
Grounds it.
Lets it burn, What does water do to fire? Let me tell you, as someone who survived a very long-term relationship with a Pisces, and a very long-term relationship with a Cancer. Lovely, lovely human beings, and I have so much respect for them. My fire was out all the time. I would go roar, boom, roar, boom. And then I was like, in the last boom, I was like, boom, out, peace out. I need to burn, and I can't burn right here. Yeah, this is just my experience, but Leos do really well with air signs. Let me tell you about Leo and Libra, because there's a question about that in the feed. Anybody else Leo-Libra combination? Anybody want to try it? I can see if there's single Libras hanging around. Leos and Libras do really, really well. Some of my best friends in the world are Libras, because they don't piss us off. Leo doesn't want to hear you're wrong or here's why or you're not amazing. Leos don't want to hear any of that. And Libras don't do that. And Libras have no problem reinforcing Leo's ego, because we need that sometimes. And Libras will be like, you are kind of cool. I like it. I'm cool too. That's the air sign thing. Like, I'm cool, you're cool, we're all cool, it's all flowing and stuff. That's Libra. And Libra's like, well, it all evens out. You're cool, I'm cool, because they're always balancing. Libras are all about the scales, right? Like, you're cool, I'm cool, it's all cool. Yeah. Leo and Gemini, Geminis are crazy, and Leos are awesome. And that could last and be a really good partnership for a long time. Because Leos will stick around. Even if Leos are going to ride that wave with you, Gemini, your multiple personality disorder. So, you show up as Joanne today, and you show up as Martha tomorrow. And Leos are kind of interested in that. Like, oh, that's interesting. It's keeping it fun for me. Aquarius people are strange. But Aquarius tolerates our hair color. Aquarius people are going to live and let live. So if you're a little out there, like me, Aquarius people tend to appreciate that. Any other combination questions about that? Let me talk briefly. I'm going to take you through a little meditation tonight. But yeah, so I'm glad that was helpful for you guys. Leo moon. Take a close look at your charts, guys, because whatever sign your Venus is in, that's how you love. Anybody have Venus in Leo? If you're not sure, you should definitely check it out because that'll be very helpful information to you. How you love, if you're a Leo, is you love passionately. So you're bringing all that passion and all that passion to your relationship. Actually, Mary, would you leave that open for me? I need a little bit of light through here. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so you're loving passionately. If your Mars is in Leo, you fight like a Leo. Anybody have Mars in Leo? Do you know? If you want to find out about this, you can go to astro.com and you can input your birth, your natal chart information, your location of your birth, the time of your birth, and the city, and you'll find out what your Mars is in and what your Venus is in and all those planets. If you have Mars in Leo, you fight like a Leo, which means you get those. You're never going to forget it. But watch a lion get mad, and I don't have to describe to you what it looks like. Yeah. I get mad like 4 times a year because it's too exhausting for me. It's so much for me to get up on my paws. And then by the time I'm up, it's going down, whether you said you were sorry already or not, whatever, it's going down because now I'm too tired. I got up already and I'm going to do it. Yeah. Mars in Leo means you fight like a Leo. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about really quickly is parenting a Leo. Does anybody have a Leo child? Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple people in the room. Anybody online have a Leo child? Just curious. Okay, so I do not have a Leo child. I will be honest with you. When I was procreating, I did not choose to have a Leo child. I was aiming for Pisces and for Aries because those are signs that I thought I could be a good parent to. I know that's a crazy concept to most people, but I was actually thinking about it. Not very romantic. Like, no, honey, not this month. Sorry, I just don't want to parent a Leo. Let's just be careful this month, and we'll be less careful in November or in June. Okay. Leo children, here's the thing. And this is true for all Leo children. Leo children will seem like they don't need parenting. They're strong, they're independent, they're confident. They need more parenting than anybody. Okay, and the challenge of parenting a Leo child is you're going to have to get underneath that veneer to where that softness lives in them. Leos, we eternally come across like we don't need you. We need you so much. And so the challenge of Leos is that because we're the lion, we seem scary and we seem like we don't need you. So what do? You draw back. And even my mom, all these years later, I'm 41, my mom would tell you this if she was sitting here. She was constantly drawing back because I was like, Leos are crazy. You know, we're loud, we seem confident, we're always going to tell you everything's okay because we're going to make it okay somehow. And we seem like we don't need you, but we need you to come closer. My Leo friends, I know when I don't hear from them for a long time, I need to step in and say, hey, are you okay? Haven't heard from you for a while. Because I wanted to say this too about Leos, and this is true of children all the way through adulthood, and you guys can affirm for me whether this is true or not. When we go dark, it's usually because we're in that shadow cycle place. And we're questioning ourselves, we're questioning what we're doing with our lives. Does this make sense to anybody in the room? Like we're questioning whether we're good enough or smart enough. And we usually come out looking different and acting different, like it's this whole thing that we go through. And what I want you to remember from tonight, if nothing else, is if you have a Leo in your life, overdo it on love. We're not easy to love, but we need it more than almost any other sign. We just don't know how to ask for it sometimes. And because we're the lion, we're a little scary. It's hard to get close. I mean, who snuggles a lion? I was going to say not smart animals. Right? I mean, we could like roll over on you. It's hard to love us. We have a lot of lovable qualities. But we want affirmation. We want you to listen to us. We want you to tell you that we're enough. And a lot of times we'll look to other Leos because other Leos understand what it means when I say something. If I tell one of my Leo friends, like, you know what? I feel like I take up too much space. I feel like I'm too loud. I feel like I'm too demanding. I feel like, and I feel like I have to put on a show for people that I'm confident, even when inside I'm breaking down. And my Leo friends will be like, hey, you know what? Totally get it. I totally get it. I see you. And you're fine. You're good enough. I love you. You know, it's going to be okay. Most people would never say that to a Leo because they're like, she totally knows how awesome she is. Look at her. She's sitting there looking in the mirror, kissing herself. It's a show. I mean, it's not a show, but it is a show. We're confident, but we don't want to show you how much on the inside we're scared. Does that make sense to you, my fellow Leos? Yeah. It's so hard for us. And it makes me want to cry a little bit because in my earlier years, I didn't know how to ask for help. And because everybody thought I was totally fine and had it locked down and I was, you know, self-sufficient, I just didn't know how to say, hey, you know what? I need that. I need you to love me. I need you to hug me today. I need a hug really bad, you know? And where this can go, by the way, if you don't learn, Leo, how to ask for all of this, where this can go is substance abuse. You know, if you start needing to feel something and get yourself out of your current situation and your current mindset, that can lead to some different places, you know? So ask for the help that you need. Leo, I want to say this too. Leo men and women tend to get married later in life. We're just better later. And it's so Leo to say this, but I'm so much better now than I was 10 years ago. Like, I am so much more amazing today than I was at 31. How amazing will I be at 51? I have no idea. But I'm just figuring out who I am. I mean, I'm 41 and I'm like, this is the party. I just showed up to the party. Now I know who I am and I'm loving it and I cannot wait to get older. And that's very much Leo. Leo ages really well because we finally figure out who we are. We finally know how to ask for love. And we finally know it's okay to break down. The one more thing I wanted to say before I take you through just a very brief meditation is this. And we do retail therapy, Trixie, until we get evolved and we realize that the things don't bring the happy. The things, all the things, they don't bring the happy. Love brings the happy, yeah? But we have to learn that. What was I going to tell you? Kind of blanked on it for just a minute. Oh, this is what I was going to tell you. There is no other sign in the zodiac that attracts haters like Leos. People flippin' love to hate us. Have you seen this? Flippin' love it. Is this your experience too, or is it just me? I'm kind of a little bit of a public figure, so I have to deal with a lot of this, but people flippin' love to hate me sometimes, and you know what? That's so okay with me. Here's what Leos know that other signs don't know about haters and trolls. If I wasn't doing something right, they wouldn't care. Like, if it wasn't interesting, they wouldn't care about me. They'd move on to somebody else. So Leos go, that's so awesome. I'm interesting. People pay attention to what I do. That's so awesome. So we have a very thick skin, but people flippin' love to hate Leos, and I don't know what it is. If it's the charisma or the fact that we're flamboyant or we are vocal, you know what it is, but haters gone wild. There's a little bit of that, but Leos are good, let me get the camera to focus. Leos are really good sports about it, and it's genuine. You know, if you see us laugh about it, because all of us do, all my Leo friends are like, oh man, F the haters, you know what I mean? Like, that's just saying to me right now that I'm interesting. I did something interesting. If you're super boring, nobody cares, and they're never going to hate you. So go ahead and live that life, is what Leos would say to you. Because we are kind of fearless, but it's an honest fearless. It's an honest fearless. And that's where that confidence comes through and really helps us, because we're like, no, I am still awesome. And then quietly to our partners and our friends, we're going to be like, am I awesome? No, but am I really awesome? What am I the est of? Did I tell you that my husband left it that I'm the sparkly est? Because I needed him to come up with an est. I really needed it. I was like, pretty est, like that's kind of empty for me because I don't really care about that. You have the it factor. It est doesn't make any sense. I'm like, give me an est. Like, I need you, Virgo, to like pin it down to an est for me. And he said I was a sparkly est, which I really appreciated. I'm very sparkly. Okay. So what I want you to do are stones for Leo. I'm going to pass the perfume around. The Leo perfume I love. It's got orange blossom in it, which for me is an aphrodisiac. So I'm going to pass it around. If you get horny, it's not my fault. We can handle the passion around here. Oh, Leos can help you though. Like if you're another sign and you're going through some stuff where people are hating on you or you need confidence, Leos will come through and tell you, listen, you are awesome and you just don't pay attention to any of that. You need a Leo friend. If you're going through some of that stuff, Leos are so good at like getting you to have perspective and to let that stuff roll off your back. Yeah. Too funny. Okay. So the stones we're working with for Leo tonight, we're working with sunstone. Oops, did we freeze up? Did I do something scary and I froze? Uh-oh. Am I frozen? Can you guys see me okay? Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm frozen to me, but great. That's a sunstone. This is my birthstone. Can I just tell you I don't like it? Do you like that? I don't know. Not my thing. It's a peridot. Not my favorite, but it's my birthstone. I made peace with it a couple of years ago. I bought a Native American ring, a Native American made ring with a really nice peridot in it. And then the Leo in me found out that peridot brings abundance. And I was like, then I love it. Now it's my favorite thing. Can't get enough. And then onyx. What's really cool about onyx, it's one of the traditional birthstones for Leo, but onyx brings protection. And Leos, because we're so out there and like we're in the world doing all the things, that's a good thing for us. And then I put Herkimer diamond in there because it's the highest vibration quartz on the planet, and that's how we roll as Leos. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you to work tonight just specifically with your peridot and your sunstone if you have it. And just a quick visualization. I want you to check in with the energy of the stones. If you don't have your stones right now, you can always come back and watch this later, but I want you to just do a little experiment with me on the stones. The stones that I put in these sets are really intentionally chosen because they hold the energy of the sign. So if you haven't worked with peridot and sunstone before, Leo, these are your stones. And did you know that sunstone is the stone of leadership? If you run a business, run a company, run a family, run anything, sunstone will help you hold leadership qualities. It's a really powerful stone for that. But it's the stone of the sun, and in fact, our ancient Greek ancestors used to call this the Helios stone, which means sun in Greek, and they thought the sun was actually stuck in there. And it looks like it kind of. It's got little flashes of orange and stuff inside. So I want you to hold your peridot in your left hand, which is your receiving hand, and I want you to hold your sunstone in your right hand, which is your projecting hand. So you're receiving abundance and you're projecting confidence. And I want you to take just a moment to feel the energy of the stones. And I want you to imagine the element of fire working within you as you do this. Leo is fixed fire. We are stubborn. We hold that fire element really powerfully in our bodies and our spirits. So I want you to imagine that element of fire. So imagine it beginning at the base of your spine, at your root chakra. And imagine pulling that energy of that fire up within your body. Up through your torso, out through your legs, up to your shoulders, down through your arms, up through your neck. And let your body just kind of be enveloped by that fire energy for just a minute. And one of the things Leo can teach you, my friends, if you're not a Leo, the way you can work with this energy is, Leo believes it's all possible. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but Leo believes it's all possible. So what would you do differently in your life if it was all possible for you? All of your dreams, all of your hopes, everything you can imagine for your life, what would you do differently? Would you quit your job? Would you stay at your job? Would you go back to school? Would you get married? Would you get divorced? Would you have children? Would you not have children? Because Leo's the sign of imagining it all. Leos have such a very, very powerful imagination. So just hold that vision for a moment. If it was all possible for you, everything you seek, what would you do differently? And whatever that is, even if it's something very, very small, I want to empower you to think about how to carry that thing through from tonight into your life, tonight and tomorrow. Because the beauty of Leo, and I'm going to leave you with this, I'm going to stay and answer a few questions, but the beauty of Leo, for all of the drama and all of the headache and all of the exaggeration and all of the ups and downs, the beauty of us is we are the big dreamers of the zodiac. We are go big or go home. There is no sign in the zodiac that has that as more of a mantra than we do. And we live it. I really do go big or go home. And I usually don't go home. So I usually go big. So I want you to think tonight as you leave this meditation and carry that energy through with this fixed fire modality of what would it mean for you to go big in your life? And then use that amplification of Leo, use that fire energy to fuel your dreams and your visions for your life. Because in our life, that's what we do for ourselves, for each other, for our partners, for our friends, as we hold space for, dude, that could be bigger. You could do more. You could finish that. We're the big cheerleaders in life, Leos. So I'm going to be looking this way because I can't see the feed on my computer, so bear with me while I look left. But do you guys have any questions for me before we go tonight? I would love to answer them for you. Nick says he's hot already, so my job here is complete this evening. Oh, right on. Someone said they found the sunstone in the river tonight. Or before they found it in the river. Yeah. Oregon has the most beautiful sunstone in the United States. If you've ever seen Oregon sunstone, as a Leo, it's like when I see it, right? But it's beautiful. It doesn't quite look like this. You find this sunstone in India and different parts of the world, but Oregon sunstone is its own magic. I was gifted a big piece of it by one of my customers in Oregon, and I treasure it. Leo Virgo cusp. You special people. Anybody in the room cuspy with Virgo? One of the ladies that works with me is cuspy in Virgo. When we get to Virgo next month, I have so much to share with you. I'm going to save my favorite Virgo stories for next month. Leo and Virgo, because I live that dance in my primary partnership, so Leo and Virgo can be really good partners to each other if there's an understanding. We're the ultimate yin and yang. So where I'm fire, that's earth. Where I'm enthusiasm, that's controlled discipline. And if you can find a way to complement each other without holding each other back, that's the real thing with Leo Virgo. If you're living that, you're probably living that juxtaposition of like wanting to go, be, and do all the things, and then checking yourself. Like, no, I should, be more organized, or that's not conservative enough, or, what if I fail? Leo thinks about failure later. Leo's like, I'm going to go do this awesome thing, and like if I fail, then I'll figure something else out. Virgos assume failure. Like, when I fail, this is the other thing I'm going to do. So if you're living that, if you're living that dichotomy, cusps are always tricky because cusps mean you're living a dichotomy. The dichotomy between fire and earth is the balance between wanting to destroy and create. Destroy and create. And if you find that right balance, it can be really beautiful, but it's a constant negotiation. Like even in my relationship, it's a constant negotiation of like, days where I feel like I'm not allowed to be fiery enough, or days where he feels like he's on fire, and how do we fix that? How do we address that? It's a constant negotiation. So what I would say for you guys who are cuspy is you're living the negotiation.
Leo Cancer.
Okay, so Leo Cancer, here's the thing about Leo Cancer. When I was young, I was growing up, I lived with my sister, she's a Cancer, and I felt like my full-time job was to make her cry. Because I would look at her and she would cry. So I would come into the room with tissue, because I was going to say something that was going to make her cry. And I wasn't a totally insensitive Leo, but because Cancers are so, like, they're waiting for it, right? They're waiting for it. And they're easily kind of wounded. And then Cancers do that thing too, where they're not going to show you either. They'll give you a really nasty look in the moment, like, Cancers have a look. I can't even mimic it. It's so nasty, I can't even mimic it for you. But if my sister was here, she could make the face for you. And Cancers all have the face. Anybody here a Cancer want to show the face? Okay. Yeah. Which what I'm talking about, right? Oh, it's in the eyes. It's so bad. But if you're like, for me, it was always holiday dinners. Like, I would see that across the table. It's like, shit, I'm not going to be able to live that down. Like, that's so bad right now. As we got older, we could drink, like, to make it okay. So it's like, oh, I saw that look, and I would hand her a shot or something. You know. But when we were younger, it's like, oh, God, this isn't going anywhere good. So cancers are the crab. And so they engage a little bit, and then they retreat a little bit. They engage a little bit, and they retreat a little bit, because they're always anticipating the wound. It's coming, wait for it, right? And Leos are like, hey, you know, we're like bulls in a china shop, lions on the savannah, right? And we sometimes put Cancer under the paw. Like, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I didn't even see you there, right? And Cancers take it personally, like, no, you totally did see me there. If you're cuspy, you're living that. Like, you're almost self-wounding. I don't even know how else to describe it, except, now, here's the thing. A Leo Cancer cusp is going to be more loyal than a primary Leo. Is that the case for you guys? Because Cancers are so loyal. Cancers want to be married forever. Amen. Cancer men, I'm telling you right now, I've said it before, and I will say it again, and I swear by this, Cancer men are the best husbands. If you find one, just marry them. Like, just find, if you're looking and you find a Cancer man, like, get to know him later, but just marry him right away. And they're the best dads. They're so good, and they're amazing lovers. Like, Cancer men, in my book, can do no wrong. They can be a little weird and a little quirky, but for all the good that they bring, deal with the quirks. They're such good men, Cancer men. And you know what's funny is there are fewer men born under the sign of Cancer than any other sign. Isn't that fascinating? Very few Leos, too. Like I said, I was on the hunt from the time I've always been in committed relationships. That's how Leos roll. We go from one committed relationship to the next. So what's really funny is I have never dated. Any other Leos share that experience? I've never been on a date. I don't know what it's like to be on a date. I would be in a relationship, and I'd be kind of breaking up with that person, and this other person would be somewhere, and we would have a meal, and then all of a sudden I was now with that person. But it wasn't like we ever said, hey, would you like to go on a date? I've never had anybody say that to me. So when I see people on Tinder and all these things that the kids do now, the Tinder, when I see that stuff, I'm like, what is that even like? I mean, I've never been on a date. I've let alone like swiped to like say yes or no to a person. I have no idea what that's like. I probably missed out on a lot, but I never dated. I went from one really long-term relationship to the other. Where was I going with that? Oh, with Cancers. So Cancers do the same thing. I mean, they're very much into the long-term relationships, and they kind of mate for life. It's very sweet in a way. So that would make you extra loyal, extra partnery, kind of. I always feel bad for Cancers who are on dating sites. I really do. I mean, it's like, and I know a lot of them. I know a lot of Cancers who are on dating sites, and I'm like, oh gosh, you know, how's that going to go? It's kind of sad, and especially Cancer men on a dating site. It's like, that's not where you're going to find your woman that you're going to marry and have all the babies with. I don't think that's where you're going to find her. Maybe. Anyway, I'm digressing. Andrew says I'm not missing out on Tinder. That's good to know. I see a lot of pictures of men with cats, and I will tell you right now, that would not have worked for me. So if that is what's available, then I don't think I missed out. Even with my husband, we never went on a date. It's so weird. We had dinner, and then we had fun, and then we were in a relationship, and 3 weeks later we moved in together, and we never talked about dating. Just didn't do dating. So, a bunch of Leo, Sun, Pisces, Moon hiding here. If you're Leo, Sun, Pisces, Moon, that's a tricky one, because Pisces is the sign of imagination, and in the Moon position, because Pisces is a sign it's a water sign, so it's partially ruled by the Moon. In that Moon position, Pisces is especially deep, especially emotional. And with Leo Sun, there can be this desire to experience life in a confident way, in a powerful way, but that Pisces Moon is always going to keep you grounded in your emotions and your feelings, which may make you a little more balanced. I'm a double fire sign, so it's hard for me to talk about balance. I have no water in my chart. I have one planet in an earth sign. My Venus is in Virgo. I always joke I love like a Virgo. I don't know whether that's good or not. Yeah. So I'm not as fiery in the bed maybe as a Leo. If you have a Leo, Venus and Leo, maybe that's the case. But anyway, so if I have no water to speak of, so I have no idea what that lived experience is like as a water sign. But anybody here a Pisces or a Cancer or Scorpio moon? Yeah, so what's that like?
Scorpio. Well, I'm a Scorpio sign, so it's emotional.
Yeah, Scorpio sun, Pisces moon. Is that your combination?
Yeah, with the Leo rising.
So you feel all the feelings.
All the feelings, all the time.
But you know, it's really powerful. If you have a double water sign combination, I dated one of those too. I didn't date. I was in a long-term relationship with one of those too. Whenever I say I dated someone, it means I was with them for 5 years. Like, there was never like a date. What's interesting about that double water sign combination is they have no fear of the emotions. And for me as a Leo, that was terrifying because I'm still afraid of the emotions. Even now, I would say, like, the deep, deep, deep. I always think of the double water sign combinations as the mermaids. Like, they are so comfortable in the deep waters, like the deep ocean, where the octopus live, like way down there. And as a Leo, I'm kind of like floating on the water. So those double water sign people, I had a relationship with one, and it was like, I've never felt feelings like that before. And I was really eager not to feel all those feelings anymore. I don't think you have to feel all the feelings all the time. But that's a fire sign talking to you. I just want to burn at the top. I don't want to go all the way down. But you know what's interesting is your partner comes along and your partner has what you need to learn. Do you know what I'm talking about? Your partner is coming along to teach you what you need to know. So for me in my relationship, I think it's about being grounded and being disciplined, you know, and not running off and joining the circus or being a gypsy or whatever I would do probably if I wasn't married to a Virgo. And I'm laughing, but I'm kind of not laughing. I have a very gypsy spirit. I was just talking today. I went to him today and I said, this is very Leo too. I said, so anyway, listen, I found a house in Mount Shasta, and it's $180,000. I want to buy it, and then I'm just going to go live there one day. And he's looking at me like I have 3 heads. Okay? And I'm like, yeah, when I'm older, like I'm going to go live there in Mount Shasta and just like drink the water and like be with the people and go to the vortexes and watch the clouds and just lead retreats. Anyway, that's my plan right now. So that's my retirement. And again, he's still looking at me. I mean, he's taking it all in as he always does. He's so grounded, right? And he looks at me and he goes, no. And I was like, so then the Leo goes, no, but like the house, like it's there and it's like for sale, and I'm just gonna buy it because I can go there. Like I can go there. I could take other people there. Like other people could be there, and then we could like Airbnb it. So like we don't have to pay for it. And I'm like, oh, and he just looks at me and he goes, no. And I was like, okay. And he's so right. Like, it's not a good decision. But Leo will be like, and we'll have the whole plan. Like, the whole plan. I had, like, the numbers. I was like, listen to this. Like, if we put this much down, this is going to be the mortgage. We can totally, that's fine. Because if we do Airbnb, then we can cover that much with Airbnb. And then it would just be utilities, which is, like, this much. But then if we go there and we use it once a month, we could, like that's that. And then one day when I'm old, I can just run a metaphysical shop there and be in the mountains with the people in the vortex. In my head, it was so clear. And in his head, he's going, there is no way I'm doing that when I'm old. That's what he's thinking. Like, that's not retirement for me. Retirement for me is not living in Mount Shasta and running a little metaphysical shop and being with the people in the mountains in the vortex. So good luck to you. And then the short version was no. And because we're good partners, I was like, okay. But it felt really good to tell you all about that because it was like a little dream for me, and I was just holding my dream. But anyway. His earth lets my fire burn. Yeah. Lisa said she would totally do it too. Well, I haven't given up hope. So anyway, if you want to like go in with me and like buy a little property, and then we could all be old together there one day and like be in the mountains with the people and the water and the vortex and the crystals, and like, it sounds good to you. Like we could all. Retirement's a few years away, so my dream lives on. You have to have a retirement plan. Okay. Any other questions I can answer for you? I'm kind of looking at the feed. Anybody in the room have a question? Leo and Aries. That's fun. There's a lot of fighting. You know, some Leos like to fight. I'm not one of those Leos. I'm a Leo who likes to retreat. So if I sense a fight is coming, I just give up completely and I go back in the forest. I don't want to do that. But some Leos are like, bring it, you know, and you can kind of sense it with some Leos, whether they roll that way. And then Aries is always looking to fight, because with Aries, they know they're right. And so it's just a matter of how quickly you figure that out as a Leo. I don't want to play that game. I'm raising an Aries, and he is right all the time. My son is 8, and he is right all the time. Honestly, it's very hard for me. He is right all the time. And he does research before he comes to me with things. He has a computer, and he Googles the things. And so he'll come to me, and he'll say, I would like this thing. And I'll say, no, Nick, it's expensive. And he'll say, well, I can cover it with my allowance, or he's got a little savings from his birthdays and stuff. And I'm like, well, Nick, but it's expensive. And he's like, on Amazon Prime, it's $32.95. I have $64 in my piggy bank, so I can cover it. And then I'm like, well, but it's not safe, Nick. There's this other thing. And he's like, so I researched the safety considerations, and it actually says this and this. And I'm like, and then I start running out of things, because with Aries, they wear you down because they're right. And then you're like, okay. It's like, where is that going? So there's all the fire, which can be a lot of fun. Aries are a lot of fun. They're very outgoing, but they also like to fight. They're ruled by Mars. It's just in their spirit. Yeah.
What about dealing with the aggression of fighting Leo? I'm fighting Leo. And sometimes it's just part of me and I need to deal with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's real jagged and I need to smooth it out.
Yeah. And by the way, I realize that we're at 7:15, so anybody who has to go right now, I'm totally fine with that. I'm just answering a few extra questions. So you're fighting Leo.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about the rest of your composition, like sun, moon, rising.
I don't really remember the rest, but I'm a Leo rising with something in my moon. It's either Aries or Sagittarius.
You're triple fire?
Yeah.
Okay. So triple fire doesn't know what to do with itself.
Okay.
And the risk for you is that you will burn yourself out.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is surround yourself with people who bring the other elements to the equation. So be sure you're surrounding yourself with water people, with earth people. When I hire here at Sage Goddess, I hire elementally. So we have a balance of all 4 elements. It's like a really big deal to me. And that's the first thing I ask somebody when they come in. They hand me a resume, and I'm like, great, what's your sign? Do you know your rising and your... Because I can't have a lack of elemental balance. It's really important. So I'm very conscious of the fact that because I'm double fire, I don't need a whole bunch more fire. And I don't have a lot more fire, but I have a lot of earth here, because I know that's what brings me the grounding and the balance and the things that I need. So just be mindful. It'll get easier for you as you get older, because the triple water, triple earth, triple air, triple fire, they're all too much for themselves, but it gets easier as you get older. You'll mellow into it.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me take one more question. Yeah.
What if you're a Leo rising with a Virgo moon?
And what's your sun?
Pisces.
The good news, you want the good news? Okay, the good news is you have a lot of elemental balance because you've got water, fire, and earth. Do you know if you have air in your chart? Any Libra or Gemini, Aquarius?
I think I've got Libra in a couple of places.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. You're probably a very balanced person, in terms of like your overall profile. Those are planets and signs that tend to be at odds with each other. So, when you have planets and signs at odds within your chart, it's going to mean a lot of inner conflict. And what I try to do with these classes is bring some awareness about like what those inner conflicts can look like. Because for so many of us, we feel like our life is just hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, life is just hard. It's always been hard for me, and it's not hard for anybody else in my family, or I always struggle. And honestly, for me, a lot of it is astrological. Like when you start boiling this down, and you start seeing if you're a double fire sign or if you're an all water sign, it's like, well, a lot of the struggle can be based on the fact that you have certain elemental combinations that might be working against you. So one of the things you could do is, and I tell people to gear your professional choices by this too. I mean, Leos, for example, are born leaders and teachers. If we're not in front of a group, something's wrong. And if you put us in a little cubicle and like stick us in a corner, we're going to wither like dead flowers. It is so true. And it's the same thing. I mean, Pisces, as a sun sign, if you put Pisces in a situation where they can't engage with people or help people, they're going to wither. Pisces are born to nurture and love and to develop people's imagination. So they make powerful teachers, powerful counselors. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wish there was a career counseling arm of this, but it's so true, because if you put certain signs in certain situations and then you wonder why they're not happy, and I'm mindful of that too. Like, if I have an earth sign here at the shop, it's okay for them to have an office position. They're going to be okay with that. If I have a fire sign, and I put them, in a back office and stick them in front of a desk all day long, they're going to be miserable. And I know that. Like, fire signs have to move. They have to spread the fire around. Does that help? So it's about finding where your natural balance is, making the most of those things, and understanding that your need to control and your need to burn and your need to feel are sometimes going to be at odds with each other. And that's okay. That's who you are. Choose your partner carefully. We all should have little warranties on us, like, hey, by the way, I'm cute. I'm also a double fire sign. I'll burn you up. But I'm going to act like all I want to do is make you happy. Are you interested? No. Sign here, kind of thing. All right, everybody. Well, I will see you at the end of August. We're going to talk about Virgo, no holds barred with Virgo. I'll be sharing all my favorite stories as usual. But may the fixed fire energy of Leo be a blessing to you. If you are a Leo, I celebrate you tonight. So for all that we are and all that we're not and all that we sometimes feel like we are pretending to be, I see you, and I still think, despite all of that, it's the best sign to be. So be well, everybody. I'll see you soon. I'll see you at the end of September. Thanks, everybody. The end of August.